friends. I'm here to talk about how to wake up a dead Facebook group. We have all been there where we feel like we're posting and we're like, hello, is anyone there? Is anyone listening? Maybe no one's engagement, maybe the reach is down, and it just feels like, what is the point? I know I'm supposed to have a Facebook group, I know I'm supposed to have this community, but what the actual heck? And so in this video, I'm going to break down the top 3 reasons this is happening. And then what I'm going to do, and I'm really excited about this, is 2 of our community members actually volunteered to have me look at their actual Facebook group and apply these 3 concepts and give some specific feedback. I know for myself, I learn best when there are specific examples, and so I'm really excited to do this video for you. If you guys want my notes, we'll type them up and we'll give them to you, so just comment notes. And then also, soon we're going to be having the social media challenge, where in 5 days, I'm going to walk you through our proven strategy in order to get engagement on social media, and you can use that strategy in groups as well. And so if you want to learn more and learn how to join, just go ahead and say challenge in the comments and we'll make sure to get you that information. So no more delay. Let me go ahead and jump into the three big reasons why Facebook groups die off, other than, of course, like not posting. I'm not going to talk about that now. I think you guys know that. Okay, so the number 1 reason is they lack energy, leadership, and there is an unclear purpose. And so as coaches, or even in consultants, or whatever it is that we're doing, we're actually leading people. So we're helping people to go from here to there. And so our Facebook group is a free version of helping people to go from here to there. Often we ourselves are not clear on what is the here and what is the there, or we get caught up in like the process as opposed to the actual outcome. And I will say that even in making this video, I was like, oh, I actually need to get more clear, and I need to tie back every piece of content. So like, why do we need to wake up our Facebook group? Well, we need to wake up our Facebook group because having a vibrant Facebook group is the simplest fast to build relationships, get clients, and make 6 figures. Okay, so the outcome is a 6-figure coaching business. Although I will admit here on camera, and hopefully you're not going to ask for a refund on this free video, that I often don't think about that outcome specifically when I am making the content. And so therefore I lack leadership. And so I have to constantly go back to, well, what is the outcome and how does this piece of content help the people in the group go from here to there? And so the way we fix this is we refocus our energy towards an outcome, whether it's make sales, whether it's lose weight, whether it's show up a certain way, whatever it ends up being. And so having that clear outcome allows us to show up as leader instead of just tip givers and information dumpers, which I just don't think people need right now. What people want is belonging and community and a shared purpose. And so when our communities have a shared purpose, even if it's as simple as making sales like ours is, then we move in the right direction and it starts to bring energy and leadership to that group, and people are more drawn to, how do I go towards this outcome? That's the first reason. The second reason is content without connections. So this happens a lot when we look at our groups as, I'm going to give you tips. Tips is like knowledge, but without empathy, without connection. And Facebook groups are community. They're supposed to be relational. And this is our way that we're going to actually connect. And so we want content that actually addresses real life scenarios and situations that our target market is actually experiencing in real life. And so a lot of times what we'll see is like kind of vague content, philosophical content, and what people really are they're like having a hard time connecting that, right? But they're going to connect it to a specific scenario. The other thing that helps, in addition to scenarios and situations, are stories. And what we want to do is we want to provide real life examples. Now, in this particular video, I'm not going to share a story. I'm actually going to do like a different way to do real life examples, some more scenarios. Scenarios and stories are really, really helpful to bring something to life. So even if you are just going to do a tip on how to blank, share the tip in story form. Like, hey, I was out there doing this thing and this is where I got stuck. And so this is what I did next. And so that's the tip I want to give you. Try this tip and it will really help you to take the next step towards outcome. That type of conversation is going to create more connection and therefore more engagement, and people are right, they're going to feel like they know you. It's really cool when I meet someone and they're like, I feel like I already know you. And the stories and the scenarios and creating content that really connects with people is really helpful for that. The third thing that, creates a dead Facebook group that we want to fix is just actually no real way to connect with people. And we did this for a long time, for a really, really long time. Our videos, we would have like freebies that we would give away, they'd blow up. Our story posts, we get a lot of connection. And our videos were just like, very few people would watch them, very few people would comment on them. And I knew I was a good teacher because, our courses were selling, our webinars were good, people were getting good takeaways, but I wasn't getting engagement on the videos. And one of the big things that changed all that is we switched up the way we do some of our titles. And then the next thing, we just said, hey, if you want a copy of these notes, just say notes. Or if you can relate to what I'm talking about in this video, just go ahead and write in the comments, I can relate. Like, give a very clear, specific call to action. Isn't Buttercup being funny right now? Give a very specific way. Like, if you also love tacos, like give me a taco emoji in the comments. Like, just give actual ways for people to engage with your content or encourage them to share takeaways. Like, if you're still watching this video, just in the comments, help our community out, write down one thing that you found to be helpful. This is not something historically has been a strength of mine. And it's something that I'm really working on right now, and I hope that it shows. And so, in that particular theme, remember, guys, if you want the notes, say notes. And if you want to join our next challenge, where we're going to teach you this stuff step by step, how to create engaging content, say the words challenge. Okay, so those are the three things. We have lack of leadership and energy and an unclear purpose, content without connection, no clear way to engage. I'm going to go ahead and pop up these two Facebook groups. And we're going to see how they're doing with these things. And I'm going to be able to give some really specific feedback. So let's go ahead and pull this one. This up is Ellie. And by the way, big shout out to Ellie and Aaron for volunteering for this. They're going to get some free coaching, which is cool. But also, they're putting themselves out there so that you can learn better. So let's give them in the comments. Let's give Ellie and Aaron a shout out for being vulnerable. So let's look at the very first one. Let's look at, do we have a clear outcome? So I'm going to look at this here, this description. So I think we're going to have some energy. I think we could probably get a little bit more of a clear outcome when it comes to this. So I was playing a little bit with ChatGPT. Obviously, Ellie's going to be the expert of this, but one of the core outcomes was feeling alive and grounded and at home at their own skin. Another particular before and after situation was, before they're feeling disconnected, depleted, doubting her feminine power, and then after they feel connected, nourished, and deeply rooted in her sacred feminine essence. And I found even a shorter one that's feeling grounded, radiant, and confident, living from her body, embracing pleasure without guilt, leading life with softness and power. These are still 7 or 8 outcomes. If we can have one specific, clear outcome, I think that's going to make it a lot easier for the content to be leadership focused and energy focused. So that would be the first thing. What that means is once you have the outcome, we're well, what's hard for people in achieving that outcome? And now we can make some really relevant content. So the second thing is connection. And so I'm going to go ahead and scroll through some of these. I think it's been a while since Ellie posted, probably because she wasn't happy with the content or the engagement. And so it's well, why? Okay, so the first thing that I'll say when it comes to connection is this wording here, why the soft girl era isn't the answer to your money problems. What we want to do is we want to we language instead of you language. This creates more belonging, inclusivity. So it'd be why the soft girl era isn't the answer to our money problems. I don't know if that's a specific term that people are used to hearing, but we would want to change all of the yous to we's. That's going to create some more connection and relatability. There was a different video here that I watched. I think it was down here. Okay, so this one's the thing I hear from time to time is how difficult it is to hold boundaries. And there's another one about money and money blocks, I think. And what I would love to see here is a story. a personal story where I used to have this particular money block. Here's what was going on with me, and then I shifted it, and here was like what happened after that. So we need some more stories in here. So a lot of the content is like, here's what's happening, here's why this is happening, but there's no story and there aren't really scenarios. And so what we want to do is we want to paint some pictures of some scenarios. So I looked up some scenarios this target market might do. Ellie will obviously do a better job of this. But it's like, okay, if I do a scenario, maybe it's second guessing every decision. Maybe it's checking social media first thing in the morning. Just like, what are the specific scenarios that your target market runs into on a daily basis? And we're going to talk about those. Like, hey, we all are tempted to wake up and look at our phones. And that makes it harder for us to embrace our feminine energy. I have been told by Ellie that I don't have that much feminine energy, so I'm doing my best here. So that's right. Like, that would be a scenario. It's like, oh yeah, I do that. And now I'm just more likely to engage. So we want to add in stories, personal stories on the money maybe, or painting pictures of scenarios. And then when we're doing guides, right, think about situations that this help with, right? So I created a guide to creating a sacred practice in everyday life. It helps with blah, blah, blah. That's going to be too long, but if we can get the guides to line up with scenarios, I think it would be good. But one of the things I noticed is this guy got more comments than others. And so this is pretty good. We'll just want to keep on doing that. The third thing that we're looking for is clear ways to engage. And I think we have some of those. This is the highest engaging post here. And so you can see here, she started telling a little bit of a story. This is the one that got the most engagement. And then it was like, if you want the link, let me know below. And we got a bunch of engagement from that. So that was there. This particular one, right? We don't have a way. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but we don't have a way to engage with it. The other thing I noticed, it looks like it's a repurposed reel as opposed to specific to Facebook content. And that will, sometimes throw off engagement. But what I would look for, I think when I was looking at this one, right, like there was a video, I think it was longer. It was like 15 minutes. Let's see if I can find it. I cannot find it. Okay, so there was one video and the call to action was a sacred morning ritual. Like, show them the sacred, like show it. I mean, like when I'm saying, hey, if you want my notes, here are my notes. We'll type them up. Like, actually show them the things. If you have a guide that you want them to comment guide for, then pull the guide up on the screen share if you're able to do that. So actually show them. I think that's going to help a lot. So those are some things on Ellie's. Let's go ahead and again, Ellie, thank you so much. If you guys again want the notes on all of this feedback, just say notes in the comments. All right, so this is Erin's group. And so we're going to look over here for specifically like this leadership component. Do we have an outcome? So right now it's set up as a support community, which is okay for a certain type of person, but it doesn't really have an outcome. And so if we're looking at mental health, one of the possible outcomes could be, this is a supportive community. I believe that the target market is actually Christian women for Christian women to collaborate in order to manage stress better and avoid burnout. Managing stress and avoiding burnout are actual concrete outcomes. I don't know if that's exactly the one that Erin is working on in her coaching business, but that would be an example of an outcome. This allows us to step into this space and create a higher quality content, something that's really helpful, and move the entire community toward that particular outcome. And that creates engagement, right? The second one that we're looking for is connections. So if we look at these are some other clients, like what's one thing that made you smile? I think this is probably a new post. I'm not sure why that didn't get engagement. I think actually it just might be the number of members. And so what we really want to do is we want to be able to add 10 people to our group per week. And you might be watching it, you're like, what the heck, Tasha? How would you do that? And we know how to do it. We help people inside of our coaching program, the What to Say coaching program, on how to get leads and how to grow groups. I'm not going to cover that today, but we are actually having a killer Black Friday special. And there's going to be 10 spots open. So if you want to be on the first to know wait list, just comment Black Friday and we'll add you to that wait list. but ultimately we want 10 people a week. So the engagement problem could just be that people are not seeing these posts just because there's so few people in it. If we look at connection, content with connection, so we'll see some of these like, there isn't a story here, there isn't a scenario here. And so I think that will really, really help. We like to mix the content between video content and written content. So when I do written content, it's usually going to be a story. And when I do teaching content, it's typically going to be video. And the reason is when I am teaching and I'm writing it, it's always going to come out more preachy than my intention is. And so when I have tone of voice, when I have body language, you can feel the sincerity. It's like we're actually talking, having a conversation and teaching, as opposed to you feeling like I'm in the newsfeed, like kind of attacking you. And I'm not saying that's what Erin's post is doing, but that's why we want to have a mix, like alternate between a written story post and a video where we're actually teaching stuff. So, some of the content, I think that's right. If we have the outcome, so a lot of this is like, it's philosophical stuff as opposed to scenario driven or story driven. And so let's say if we think about our outcome, managing stress and avoiding burnout, well, we can ask like, well, what is a scenario that contributes to burnout? And so maybe Erin can do a video that's like how we can set boundaries and say no when we're used to saying yes. And so you can hear that we language. And it's like, oh my gosh, yes. And then Erin can jump in and tell a story about, what happened like 5 minutes ago is Zoe walked in the office and I'm like, it's still work hours. Don't come at me with your volleyball flyers. Like, I've got to finish my work. And so maybe you don't agree with the way I handled that, but that would be an example of setting boundaries. And so Erin could tell a story that's like, hey, the other day, this is what happened and here's how I handled it. And here are some things that you can consider if this is hard for you. I hope this is helpful for you, right? That's going to be more, that content is going to connect much, much, much better. The third thing to do is we want to have a clear way to engage. And so it's not really there. So she could actually be having people look at the thing, see more. There's not really much to say. Okay, drop a word or emoji describes where you are this morning. But that's not much of a payoff for me. And so I might read it and I just might keep moving on. I think what's happening in here is people are not seeing it because the group is small and there hasn't been so much engagement. We got a little bit more engagement here. I'm here in limbo, just trying to hold on till we know what our normal will be if we're here. So we got a little bit going on, but we're trying to do conversation starters that are kind of long. And so again, having this specific outcome, I think is going to help this group a lot. And so if Erin does a video on a specific scenario and says, hey, you want the notes, or comment below if you can relate to these situations or if you have any advice for the community, that would start to create some more engagement for Erin's specific posts. And I think that both of these groups have the potential to do really, really well. I'm always looking at my group and being like, okay, am I doing these things? If not, okay, let me take a step in that direction. And so, social media is one of those things that we're just going to keep looking at what's working well, what's not working well, repeat what's working well, fix what's not working well, and go from there. If you guys want to join the challenge where I'm going to coach you guys for free for 5 days, teach you guys the 5 different kinds of posts. They're proven to get engagement. They'll wake up your Facebook group. They'll also wake up your personal page. It happens every single time. For our clients, just drop the word challenge. And if you would like to learn more about our What to Say coaching program, Black Friday special, this is the craziest deal I have ever put together. It is only going to be available for 10 people. And so if you want to be on the first to know list, we're going to send out a separate email before anyone else gets it. Comment first to know. Well, the first to know people are going to be the people at the challenge. The second first to know people are the people that say, I want to be on the first to know list. And then we'll release whatever is still available to everyone else on Black Friday. So if you want to know more about the Black Friday special, then go ahead and comment Black Friday. I really hope this was helpful for you. If it was, feel free to drop a takeaway or any thoughts that you had as you were watching this. And we're really grateful to have you be part of our community. Have a great day.